Welcome back to the VHS Files, everyone, and this week we watched Body Double. Jake has a secret.
I like to watch.
But he may have seen more than he wanted to. Jake Scully, an unemployed actor, is asked to house sit a luxurious hillside apartment.
Jake, I'd like you to meet my favorite neighbor.
As a bonus, the home offers Jake a telescopic peek into the bedroom of one Gloria Revelle, who nightly performs an arousing striptease. When Jake discovers another man is spying on Gloria, he begins an obsessive surveillance on her. Soon a grisly murder leads him into the world of X-rated film, where he meets sexy porn queen Holly Body, who is the key to the crime. Body Double was directed by Brian De Palma, who brought us such films as Scarface, The Untouchables, Carlito's Way, Phantom of the Paradise, and Mission Impossible. Body Double was released on October 26th, 1984, and with a budget of between $6 to $10 million, only managed to gross a box office of $8.8 million. It was released amongst the likes of The Terminator, Ghoulies, Night of the Comet, and Beverly Hills Cop. A lesser-known film in Brian De Palma's filmography, this conversation will contain heavy plot spoilers, adult content, and harsh language, so you have been warned. Brian De Palma was known for pulling inspiration from Alfred Hitchcock, which you can definitely see here in Body Double, and we talk a lot about that here in our conversation. So what did we think? Let's get to the show and find out. All right, so this week we watched Body Double. And I think I'm the only person who'd ever seen it before. Am I wrong in that assumption?
I had not seen it.
I think me and about 20 million other people have probably never seen this movie.
No, this movie's got some controversy surrounding it, so there's definitely more people than that have seen it. But I was going through the list of the stuff that we've got on our movie list, and I actually had this Blu-ray sitting over on my desk, because this is where I just sit and watch movies while I'm here editing in this endless void of the VHS files. But I put on Body Double, and I was like, damn, I have a lot of good memories about this movie from being a kid, which is a very weird statement.
That is a very weird statement.
Not those kind of memories, Jason, because this was 1984, so it was a little early for that sort of thing. But I was like, I'd love to talk about this movie on the podcast, and it's a Brian De Palma movie. And we haven't talked about any Brian De Palma movies on our show yet. So I was like, well, this will be kind of a fun little thing, and if the guys haven't seen it, it might make this conversation interesting, because I have a little bit of a nostalgia for this movie, and you guys are watching it for the first time in 2021, and I want to see how you guys react to this, watching this movie from 84 in 2021, and see how we all responded to it. So let's talk about Brian De Palma a little bit, because he's pretty notorious in Hollywood, I would say. Yeah,
A little bit.
Sure.
A bit.
How familiar are you guys with De Palma's stuff? Like within your film watching and like knowledge, you know, I don't think Brian De Palma is in any of our top tier directors or anything, but he's someone that gets brought up a lot within filmmaking.
Well, in the horror world, I mean, we know him for Carrie.
Right.
I mean, that's right off the top. And then, I mean, that's what I knew him from. I mean, I didn't know who he was when I first saw Carrie, but later in life, I recognized that was him. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure Eric's about to say his other big notorious film that most people know him for.
Which would be?
Mission Impossible.
That's it. Everybody knows him for Mission Impossible.
But honestly, those are the two De Palma films I had seen previous to this one.
No Scarface?
Oh, yeah, Scarface as well. Yeah, sorry.
That's
Scarface.
what I thought you were going to say.
Oh.
The other movie
Scarface,
that most people know him for is Scarface and Carrie.
Yes, sorry. Scarface slipped my mind. I saw Mission Impossible on my screen, and I just said it. But yeah, Scarface, Mission Impossible, Carrie. That's really it. I was actually kind of surprised. I was looking through his stuff, and I was like, oh, wow, I've only seen these. But yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, because like he's part of this, what they call the new Hollywood movement, you know, all these big directors that were coming up in the 80s, you know, Carpenter and Spielberg was even part of that, and fucking Kubrick, and he's a name that gets brought up a lot when you're hearing people talking about movies. It's just, and it's funny that you say Mission Impossible, because when I was going through the filmography, I was like, oh fuck, he directed Mission Impossible? Like it didn't even dawn on me that he directed that.
Was it the part one?
Yeah, the very first
Okay,
one.
See, I actually kind of like that one. The other ones are kind of.
It's been a long time since I've watched the original, the first one.
I went back through them somewhat recently. I like 1. I like 3. 2's bad. I like 4's good.
I've always heard you got to skip one. I've heard that with the Mission
2
Impossible. You got to skip.
John Woo or
It's funny because like I see some people online that are like championing Mission Impossible 2. They're like, this is the best one of the franchise, and I don't agree with that.
Isn't that the one that Metallica did the song for?
Maybe it's the one that takes place like in the deserty terrain.
Yeah, because yeah, that song was awesome too.
Is it necessary that Jason brings up Metallica in every episode? Or
I think it's getting to that point.
And Cars, and we're going to talk about that too.
So that's the new segment, everybody. It's Jason talks about Cars and Metallica, and the segment is called Fuel, Give Me Fire.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
I love it. Well, can I just go, ooh, oh yeah.
Nope, sorry, we're gonna have to cut that.
No, damn. Yeah, that's copyright. Shit, Lars is already filing paperwork against me right now.
But you know, that's a funny thing about doing this podcast too, is we talked about A Fistful of Dollars not too long ago, and it made me kind of want to keep watching Westerns, even though I haven't had time to watch another Western since. But now it's like, okay, we watch this Brian De Palma movie, and then I start digging into everything De Palma's done, and it's like, fuck, I want to go watch all these Brian De Palma movies now. It's like, I've never seen The Untouchables, which is, you know, yeah, exactly.
I haven't either.
Okay,
So-
that's the thing. Josh picks this movie that I don't care how much controversy is out there. The number of people by the box office alone did not see this movie as much as most of his other films.
We do not choose movies based on box office, Jason.
No, but I'm just
We've been
saying,
over this.
But he wants to do a De Palma movie, and there is way better ones in the catalog here.
Well, it's simply because this is the first. Well, again, like it's probably the first De Palma movie I ever saw. I probably saw this movie before Carrie, if that tells you anything.
Taking your horror card.
Well, it's not that I haven't seen Carrie. I've seen Carrie many times.
Josh hasn't seen Carrie. Weird.
Don't try. No. Don't you try and sway it, Eric. You got a horror quiz coming up soon, buddy. You're gonna get yours.
Oh no.
He's studying, and it's not multiple choice, buddy. Got to write essays and shit.
Essay.
But back to De Palma.
Back at the De Palma. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's made me realize just how much of his stuff I haven't seen, and how much. Again, this is a filmmaker that is, you know, pretty notorious in the industry, and I haven't seen most of his stuff.
So much to watch.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a couple in the Criterion collection that I've got the Blu-rays. Never watched them. You know, Sisters and Dressed to Kill, both in the Criterion collection. Haven't watched them. Tonight we're talking about Body Double, which I don't think it was like in his first handful of movies in his filmography. But it's early on. I mean, he had already done Scarface the year before, and then he had Dressed to Kill, Blowout, The Fury, Carrie, Sisters. Sisters is one that I've heard a lot of stuff about. I just got like a big underground horror following. But this one, 1994.
Oh, you're pulling an Eric.
1984. So let's go back in time to 1984.
We're sending you back in time. Whoa, this is heavy.
Well, Josh, American President Ronald Reagan declares July as National Ice Cream Month and the third Sunday of said month as National Ice Cream Day, calling it a nutritious and wholesome food. Hey, did I tell you guys I was recently offered a job at an ice cream shop?
No, really?
No.
Yeah, I turned it down because I don't like working on Sundays.
You funny man.
He's talking about ice cream. We just did the stuff.
Jason. Okay. Mary Lou Retton scores a perfect 10 on her final vault, making her the first American woman to win an Olympic gymnastics gold medal. You know where Olympic gymnasts go to drink? Uneven bars.
Not the first time we've mentioned Mary Lou Retton on this show, by the way.
No? I can't remember. Stevie Wonder's I Just Called to Say I Love You reaches the Billboard #1 in the U.S. Little known fact, Stevie Wonder's favorite color? Corduroy. Thank you.
Wow.
It's a color you can feel and hear.
Michael Jackson's hair catches fire while filming a Pepsi commercial in 1984. You guys know MJ's favorite fish? It's ahihi tuna.
That's not good, man.
No.
No.
Ahihi tuna.
I like ahi tuna. I don't like ahi tuna.
Anyway, finally, if you guys know I love to work out. I'm a big gym rat, and my workout drink of choice, hit it, Josh.
There's a great reward when you're getting in shape. An ice-cold tab.
So good.
And now that fantastic cola taste is also available without caffeine. Try
No
Tab,
caffeine.
Or new caffeine-free tab.
What the fuck?
By
Why?
the way,
I like a good
One
tab before
smart
bed.
choice.
I don't want caffeine right before bed. I have a nice warm tab before bed in the
Hey,
tub.
can
I get in the tub. I light some candles. Have a nice warm tab.
Hey, Josh, can I get a tab?
Tab
No.
in the tub.
Okay. Come on, dude. You're supposed to finish it. But you got to buy something first. Come on, Back to the Future reference. Hello. God.
I'm not the Back to the Future reference guy here. There's never been that label put on me, buddy.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, Jason. Why don't you give us the taglines for Body Double? Whose tagline is it anyway? We're going to try and guess which one Jason wrote and which ones Hollywood wrote.
Where the taglines are made up and the points don't matter. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, here we go. Same thing as usual. Throw in some of mine, throw in some of theirs. Let's see who wins this week. You can't believe everything you see.
Ooh. Ooh.
I think
That's a damn
That's
good one,
real.
no matter what.
it's real.
There's no way Jason wrote that.
Wow, dude. Thanks a lot.
I know. You don't have to insult the man.
Wow. 1 week, dude, that's better than the one Hollywood gave us. And this week, I'm a fucking piece of shit.
Jason can't write a complete sentence.
What is that? I didn't get a full education in the state of Texas.
Well, then tell me you wrote it, asshole.
No, Hollywood. Okay.
Next.
Here we go. Lights, camera, murder.
I think you wrote that one.
Yeah, I think you wrote that.
I did.
It's a good one.
Murder.
That's a good one, though. I do like that.
Yeah.
A seduction, a mystery, a murder.
That's real.
That's real because I'm looking at it on the poster.
Shit, what the
I'm
hell?
sorry, I got the poster in
You're
front of me.
Cheating.
My new wallpaper.
Well, we see what kind of impression this movie left on Eric.
Here we go. It's funny because a lot of these, let's just say, they're really hard to choose between mine and theirs because they were very simplistic. So I mean, you're doing good so far. So I tried to kind of write them in their vein. All right. Let's see. Sex and murder. Welcome to Hollywood.
I like that, but I think you wrote
I
it.
think you wrote it.
I did. But thank you guys. You actually said they're good. I mean, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Jake goes deep into the Hollywood underground. Can he make it out alive? If he does, will you believe him?
It sounds too weird for Jason to write, doesn't it? It's too long. He wouldn't have written one that long.
Yeah, he wouldn't have written one that awful either. Like, I think Jason could have written anything better than that.
Actually, I wrote it to make it awful. I did it awful on
Wow.
purpose. So you would think
Well
Hollywood
played.
did it.
He's
See,
playing
little-
mind games on us
playing
now.
mind games with you now because you guys were doing too good the last couple weeks on these. And then one more. Let's see. Do you like to watch?
That's real.
Yeah, that could be real.
Yeah, that's real. That's it for this week, folks.
All right, everyone. Tune in next week when we do another round of Whose Tagline Is It Anyway? All right, so being as though I'm the veteran of this movie and seen it a handful of times, I want to know what you guys' initial reaction was to the opening scene of this movie.
What was the opening scene again?
The corniest vampire movie you have ever seen.
Oh, yeah. The vampire thing. Yeah.
When I said, let's watch this movie, and you were like, okay, you watched the trailer or whatever, you were like, okay, let's watch this. Did this opening scene take you by surprise by any chance?
Well, it didn't take long to realize, okay, this is like clearly a movie, like this guy's an actor or something. This is a movie set. Cause
Yeah,
the opening credits are like this spooky, there's like howling wolves, just like all this spooky opening credit typeface that looks like Halloween, all this goofy stuff. It's like, okay, this isn't right. This has to be a movie set. And it was. It is a fun way framing device. And I think there's some metaphor going on with the film industry and the voyeurism.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As we kind of get into all this stuff, and it's interesting. It's an interesting way to start the movie, and we learn about our what's his name?
Jake
Scully. Jake and his issue.
It's claustrophobic vampire.
Claustrophobia.
That's the worst vampire ever because they have to live in a
not
fucking
ideal.
coffin.
Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, I think I wrote down on my notes here. We're talking about corny vampire movie. Is this our very first glam vampire?
That was going to be my next question. Is like, where do you think they were drawing the inspiration for this vampire? Or do you think it was complete and total tongue in cheek? Like, let's just make him look as fucked up as possible.
I think that's kind of.
There's a lot of movies out there. Fun. There's got to be glampires before this, right?
Glampires. I like it.
Can we copyright that, or is that?
Can we put that down, Eric? Copyright right here. Every time somebody says it, he gets a half a cent.
He looks like old white wedding guy. What's his name?
Billy Idol. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Well, the haircut, not the makeup. That's
not,
more David.
Yeah. No, not the makeup.
David Bowie and Billy Idol had a vampire kid.
That's
what you get.
Idol.
Billy Idol and David Bowie would have a sexy vampire kid.
Yeah. Billy Bowie.
Except when Jake takes all the makeup off, you're like, that mother. He was the vampire.
Yeah. Now, okay, so. I know I had seen Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 before this.
Oh, yeah, I did too. That's
because
how I recognized him.
Jake Scully, the actor who plays him, I didn't write his name down because I'm a bad host.
Craig Wasson
was in Nightmare 3.
As a major character.
Yeah, big time. He's like the co-star of that one. Yeah. And I hadn't really seen him in anything else. And then I saw this movie. And I was like, oh, it's that guy. So that instantly drew me in. I was like, oh, somebody from Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm going to watch this movie. At that point, did not know anything about the sex and murder and everything else that happens in this movie when I was however old I was. Yeah, he's what kind of wrote me into it because I had seen him before. And yeah, when you see him out of that makeup, it's kind of a shock to the system. You're like, whoa, because that was not what I was expecting.
Major props to the makeup department of that movie.
Yeah.
of the movie they were shooting, not the movie that we're watching.
The movie he says it's called Vampire's Kiss, which
Isn't
is
there a movie called Vampire's Kiss with
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Yes.
I never misspelled anything. Not once, not one time.
When did that come out?
That came out after this.
Yeah, definitely. It was probably 91, maybe 90, 91.
That was around his time of like Raising Arizona days.
Yeah, he was
early
young
in his career. Yeah,
88.
Yeah. So 4 years later, they made a movie. They stole the name of the movie from this movie.
Well, this movie stole some things, or at least I mean, okay, like,
can we just go ahead and say it because I really want to say it?
Are you talking?
Go ahead.
Talking Rear Window and Vertigo, right?
Rear. All right, this is it. Okay, we're talking about De Palma, like you said. How many movies had he made before this movie?
A handful.
12.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. This is where I lose. I mean, we're going to break into this movie because you see a few shots right here at the beginning for the first hour of this movie. And when Josh told me about this movie we were going to watch, I said, okay, let me look it up. And I do my research before I watch the movie. And that's the whole thing is people in the underground give it praise for being an homage to Hitchcock. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I went, well, that's cool. I mean, Hitchcock gave us great movies. He's the original master of horror, if you want to say. And I'm watching this movie and I'm like, okay, De Palma made Carrie, you made this, and this. I literally think this is the laziest movie he did, because he went, I'm going to watch every Hitchcock movie and I'm going to steal every scene from his movie and I'm just going to throw the 80s in it and I'm just going to reshoot it with different people. And I'm like, because it's like Hitchcock shot, a character that would be in a Hitchcock movie, a character that'd be in a Hitchcock. And I'm like, really? I mean, we watched the movie, but I mean, just right here at the beginning, you're like, come on, man. De Palma, you gave us some great movies. And now it's just like, let's just make a movie. I'm just going to make a Hitchcock movie and throw my name on it.
Well, I mean, I didn't, we just started watching this. I didn't watch a trailer or anything like that. And, you know, of course, at first I start thinking Rear Window. And then as things get further along, my wife Kayla actually said it before I did. She goes, this is like Vertigo, because we had just watched it recently. And then as it goes on further, it's even more like Vertigo. I mean, it's like, wow, this is,
it really starts as Rear Window and morphs into Vertigo at the end.
And a Dial M for Murder. It's there's all three of those films are like heavy.
I mean, obviously heavy influence. You can argue homage or ripoff. I lean more homage. I feel like this movie is well made, particularly the direction. You know, I think it looks great. I think some of these shots are so Hitchcockian and some of these scenes are so Hitchcockian. You almost feel like you're in a Hitchcock movie at times.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, can we put a counter up top that he's going to say Hitchcockian?
I'm not doing another fucking counter. Okay.
So there's a lot of flesh in this movie too, but I think it's well put together, and I enjoyed that stuff. I enjoyed the Hitchcock stuff rather than thinking, oh, this is derivative or something. I kind of like that. Honestly, as this gets rolling in the beginning, I was a little bit arms crossed, like, I'm not really getting this movie. I'm not really feeling this. It felt like your run-of-the-mill kind of sleazy thriller from this era. And you know, as it kept going, I started to see some of these shots, some of these longer takes, some of these really creative framing and moving camera, like mid conversations, stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then, oh, that's kind of cool. And then, you know, I think when I really started to pay attention was when they started when he follows her to the mall. Yeah. And you have kind of three different people at the mall and they're all kind of following each other. And they keep missing each other and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I now I'm seeing what's going on here. This is more interesting than I thought it was.
Right.
This isn't just some Skinamax,
right.
gobbledygook.
For all intents and purposes, that was the main reason I watched this movie when I was a kid, is because it was like a fucking Cinemax movie. Yeah. And, you know, Jason.
Shout out to Barbara Crampton in the beginning of the movie.
Right. Oh God, we get Barbara Crampton. Come on, dude.
The biggest fucking travesty that Brian De Palma did in this movie was not using our girl Barbara Crampton more. She's in this movie for 2 fucking seconds.
I was like, is that Barbara Crampton? That is Barbara Crampton.
I saw that she was in the movie, because I mean, reading over the cast and everything. And then I'm like, well, where the hell is Barbara Crampton? And it had her name, and I saw the flashing neon sign in the room when he makes it back home after leaving the film set for the day. And I'm like, what? Then you hear the noises and you're like, oh, really?
Yeah. How did he not know? How did he not know walking in that room?
Yeah,
he's like, oh-de-da-de-da.
She's having a good pleasure herself session today. I'm going to go join her.
Dude, did it not remind you because of that shot in Boogie Nights where the one guy, his wife is a porn actress, and
a little
he
bit
walks in and they're banging and she's like, just shut the door. Yeah, you know, that scene reminded me of Boogie Nights right there.
That shot that they give us of Barbara Crampton looking at him, and she's just got this cold look on her face, man. Like, yep, you're out of here, buddy.
Yeah, like, I'm not stopping. You know, like, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, you just leave, you coward. I mean, this guy is not he's not like an alpha male. You know what I mean? Like, he's and he's clearly not going to do anything, and she knows it.
Well, it's her place. We find out later. the reason he had
And
to
it's
leave.
her place
It's her
anyway.
place anyway.
Yeah, he's a struggling actor, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also-
she must have been over it because, I mean, they had a neon sign, as Jason brought up, with their names on it. Like, that shit's expensive. You don't get that shit made
That's
unless
true.
you're
Back in
making
1984, that's like several $100s. Of
Yeah,
neon.
you're making a commitment if you were making a neon sign.
He probably bought that shit, not her.
You're
he got-
probably right.
Yeah, he had that made for like Valentine's Day. She
Yeah.
hates it.
He walks in, look what I made us. And she's like, oh, that's great.
A gun rack? A gun rack.
A gun rack.
Right.
You mentioned Boogie Nights. Clearly, must have taken some kind of inspiration from this film, right?
Yeah.
I read a lot of stuff. They were talking about that, about the whole cult following of this film, that when they were made Boogie Nights, they took some stuff because De Palma was known for that. His little grittiness, sexual, even gore,
Yeah.
somewhat a push on society type thing. And that's kind of where Boogie Nights was. Honestly, truly, I mean, if you want to talk about this movie, I prefer Boogie Nights over this. But,
Oh, well, sure. But Boogie Nights is a miles better movie than this. In my
yeah.
opinion.
I mean, I was just like, because they were talking about them taking from this movie, and I'm like, well, they took the good parts because in the end, I thought it was a better movie. But
De Palma has never been shy about saying that he takes a lot of inspiration from Hitchcock and older filmmakers. I mean, his career was kind of predicated on stuff that he borrowed or, like, if you want to say, stole from Hitchcock. I mean, so much so that I
I
think
don't want to say stole. I feel like this is clearly influence. When I want to call somebody like a ripoff, it's when they don't do it well. They don't make it their own. I feel like he does Hitchcockian things here that are now plot elements are direct.
plot is straight Hitchcock story.
Yeah.
okay,
But
and
I
that's
just
the
mean as
problem I
far as
have.
like, I mean as far as like scene sequences, filming sequences, those kinds of things are well done on their own. Where I don't want to knock the guy because I think they're good. Now, plot stuff, yes. I mean, the movie is literally called Body Double. It's right there it's right there in the title. Also, I think this movie suffers from the HD era because
I
you
had
can
that
see-
same note, same exact note.
I had never seen this movie. The very first time the guy breaks into the bedroom, it's like that's his
That's
buddy.
the guy.
That's the guy. And then you see him with
Oh.
the makeup on, and you're like, that's the guy. It's the guy. And you
Dude.
can figure out the whole thing right there because of HD.
That's my problem. Like, in Josh talks about me, I'm trying to figure out the movie because it is a mystery suspense. You want to figure it out. That's the whole idea. And that first scene after we meet his friend Sam, and he's helping him out, blah blah blah, and he leaves, and then the jewelry thief is in there. Just his side profile
Yeah.
alone,
Clearly
you
him.
know it's him,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, so
Well,
what is he doing?
Not even that. I mean, before we even meet the Indian, quote unquote, in this movie,
Yeah,
they're watching from across the street through this telescope, and you can tell that's Melanie Griffin. Like, you can see her face.
Oh yeah, it's her. And you can look when you meet Gloria
Griffith.
right up close. Yeah, Griffith.
Yeah, Griffith.
Yeah, you meet when the girl that plays Gloria, you're like, they don't look the same.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
I'll
I mean,
be honest. I didn't notice it was Melanie Griffith in the in those scenes. I didn't pick up on that until later when Jake did. So
that's fine. You
snuck by me, but
yeah, I mean,
yeah, Sam does say, "Can you see her face?"
yeah.
Which is a pretty big giveaway.
Well, the bad part is they even set it up to where they could have not, because he's like, oh, it's out of focus, and then he's like, oh, you can see her face. Like he like they could have just been like, oh, well, he was watching her out of focus the whole time, he couldn't see her face, but I can see her face on screen, pretty plain and simple. I think before this movie gets into where it's going and you meet Melanie Griffin's character, like, that's all you see of her at that point. So until you see her coming out of the house the next day, you don't really know what she looks like. You know what I mean?
You're talking about Gloria.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is where I want to. You guys watch it HD. I rented this on Vudu and watched it at 480.
Wow.
480.
Because
What is it? 2005.
Dude, no, I watched it at 480 because it was like $1.99. To watch it HD, it was like $5.99. And I'm like, it's a fucking movie from 1984. I do not need 720 1080. So I watched it in 480, and I could still tell that was Sam and that was Melanie Griffith, because it is horribly shot. as far
Okay,
as that.
well, I wanted to come into this conversation with this very statement. I saw this movie back in the 80s, again, probably when I shouldn't have, but I, watching this movie as a young person, was captivated by this story and the mystery. Now, at this point, I had never heard of Hitchcock. I didn't know what Rear Window was. I didn't know what Vertigo was.
Yeah.
This was kind of my introduction to that kind of a mystery story. And I was completely transfixed on the fact that there was this ugly ass Indian dude chasing this girl around, and
he's
this guy
creepy as hell. He reminds me of Twin Peaks. He reminds me of the Twin Peaks guy.
Yeah, he does. And like what makes it, like, the littlest things make him even worse, like the teeth. The teeth make him, and then the fucking holy shirt that he's wearing the entire movie. He's got that see-through fucking shirt on.
Yeah, that like mesh.
Okay, this is, I wrote him down as, I call him the Creeper because he looks like the Jeepers Creeper a little bit.
That's funny. Yeah. I wrote him down as the Creeper too in my notes.
But he also looks like, and I can never remember the actor's name, the one that was in Highlander who played the Kurgan. The big tall
Clancy
guy.
Brown. Yeah,
but the face with the nose, he actually looked a lot like him.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, what was he trying to go with? Did they change it? But you know it's Sam. You can see the face.
Well, when I was a kid, I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't. You see, if you saw this when you were 8, you would not have been able to see it.
Right.
If you couldn't tell, and if like you said, in a vacuum, not thinking about Hitchcock or whatever, the mystery itself is rather well constructed, I think.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that you can tell, you can see through the makeup, you can see in the shot that it's him.
Yeah.
And that kind of ruins it, and that it's her. But I think, if you watch the movie as it's intended to be, yes, you can tell. But if you kind of just look at it and go, okay, that's actually a pretty good twisteroo. Yes, it's basically it's kind of like taking Vertigo and kind of doubling it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But the wife thing's the same as Vertigo essentially. But adding the layer of the Indian and the guy, like multiple, the guy playing, and the fact that he's an actor, he's in Hollywood, so you've got these, kind of made me think of Drive, where he wears the rubber mask.
Well, that's the other thing about this, is watching it now with my adult glasses on, and kind of knowing, that's another thing. Like, once you know where this plot goes, that's when you really can start to see the puzzle pieces when you watch it a second and third time. Especially like seeing Sam as the Indian, like, it's obvious when you watch it again after that first time. If you didn't catch on the first time,
Greg Henry is kind of a unique looking guy. Like, it would have been maybe helpful if he wasn't, even his mannerisms when he's walking around and moving, like, I feel like you can read his body language and it looks like him. I don't know. It's a little.
I agree. Tough, and another thing is, before we even meet the Indian, we see, he's peeping on her the second night, and the figure, her husband, quote unquote, comes in. And that's another thing I'm confused by with this movie, is like, this is a very elaborate setup for this entire ordeal, right? Like, first of all, if you're going to hire a porn actress to be a body double, why is she going in the safe in your house? And like, there's a lot of trust being put on a person here to set this guy up that I just think is completely out of left field.
It's to show that there was a safe, so that he knows that someone will come in to rob the safe.
Right.
Yeah. And there's obviously, she's got the diamond anklet, so there's something of worth in said safe.
Right.
But with the, like, I'm kind of like, do we even need the Indian character here? Like, because if you're setting up the fact that her and her husband are arguing, you have this whole scene where you're beating her and taking money from the safe and leaving. Why do you have to have the Indian character involved at all?
It's a good question. I don't totally understand why there were two scenes, of him, like him coming in with the suit on and knocking her around and then leaving.
The body language there is definitely like, oh, that's that dude. That's the dude that put him in the house.
Yeah. I mean, there's only like 5 people in this movie. So, that's the thing with mysteries, is like, it's usually not somebody, like, the killer is usually not somebody you've never seen before.
Right.
And when there's only like 4 main characters in the film, it's easy to pick out who's going to be. But I like the Indian, just in the sense that it makes that moment where Jake is looking is watching her,
Mm-hmm.
and then he sees the guy on the, welding on the thing, and he watches we'll call him the creeper. I want to call him the creeper because when he sees the creeper watching her, it gives us a moment where our main character, he's peeping and he looks at this other guy peeping and he's judging that guy.
Yeah.
Ew, that guy is looking at her. He's watching her. He's invading her privacy. And that Indian creeper looks gross. He's grimy, he's dirty, he's sweaty.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think this is like a reflection of Jake's shame for watching, and it kind of puts him in a position where he is, he thinks this guy's gross for peeping on her, but he himself is doing that. And
right.
Oh, and he takes it to a whole nother level later.
Sure. I mean, it's only it takes 2 nights for him to start following her around town, and so on. But those moments I think are interesting. You're getting like layers of reflection and stuff like that. And I think the Indian gives you that second twist. You get the first twist, the Vertigo twist, and then you get the second Indian twist.
The whole him following her around the mall stuff, like he is the most indiscreet fucking person I've ever seen. It's like and like it kind of says something about how they treat the female character here, because if she did not notice this motherfucker following her around, she had to have been blind, because he is not doing a very good job of keeping his distance. I mean, he's standing 4 feet away from her most of the time.
Yeah, he even gets on the elevator with her.
Yeah.
And rides up to the roof and then down again, which makes no sense. Like, why either of them would do that.
I caught that. I caught that watching it. I was like, wait, why are they going up? She was leaving. Like, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah. She got on the up elevator for, instead of waiting for it to come back down. But anyway.
Yeah. Now this is the part this whole mall scene is about 8 minutes too long.
Yeah.
It goes on for fucking ever. And I understand they're trying to play this whole cat and mouse game with the creeper guy, Jake, also the creeper, and Gloria's character. And it just goes on and on. And I'm like, honestly, truly, that's my problem with this movie. The first probably hour and 10 minutes is just.
How many times did you nod off watching this one, Jason?
Dude, I'm like, I get it. We're establishing the fact that he lost his girlfriend. He's now infatuated with the lady that he's peeping on, probably rubbing one out every 5 minutes in between a shot to Jack. And it's funny, he's drinking Jack Daniels while peeping her the whole entire time. I mean, you get him over there and he's all like scruffy. I mean, you look down on his arm, the size of his forearm is like this big, and the left one's all small and shit, like Quagmire from Family Guy. But it's just like, dude, and I'm like, come on, to me, the plot is not moving. It is at a standstill. We're in neutral.
I agree that this movie is long. It did not need to be almost 2 hours.
Yeah, you could have done an hour and a half, hour 40.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it actually would have been better, and probably been a little more enjoyable.
It's a little indulgent at times, and
yeah, like we didn't need 2 scenes of the masturbation stuff, of him watching her doing that.
Oh yeah.
We can establish that with the first time, and then the second time we see the husband beating her, and then it goes from there. Like they do go to a few things too many times. Like when you reach that halfway point of this movie and it goes into the other half, like there is an absolute like complete like boom, like line in the sand in this movie.
It's 25 minutes left.
Yeah.
Almost 25 minutes left in the movie. It goes, oh, put it in drive. Let's go. Let's finish the movie now. and it goes.
And the movie
that gets
just
interesting.
Well, it does, but it also comes out of left fucking field, because it's like, I'm gonna just lay here and wallow in my fucking pity and drink Jack Daniels and jerk off and watch porno. Oh wait, I've seen that girl's ass before. She was dancing across the street. Like, it's very coincidental that he just happens to be watching this porno that has the exact actress that got hired to frame him. Like, it's just really fucking.
But not only that, it just shows to show you. I mean, like, that's the whole thing. We're getting to the whole thing of voyeurism, and it's dirty, it's nasty, and that's what Palma likes to do in his movies. But it just shows you literally how dirty. I mean, he basically took in every part of her body down to the nipple or whatever, and her gyrations to realize that girl on TV is the same girl I was watching masturbate next door.
Well, it's like a routine that she's doing. It's
Yeah,
the same,
it's a dance
it's
routine.
the same routine. So and then there's the tattoo, right? So he notices the Holly tattoo, but yeah, it is a coincidence that he stumbles into that, and it just so happens that there's an audition.
Yeah, it takes that turn into the porn industry, and it was just like, I didn't, when I was a kid, this movie was already like pushing some boundaries for some shit that I had seen in movies before, and then it goes into this thing where he goes in and auditions for the porno, and I was like,
and he
what
gets
is
it.
Going on right now? Yeah,
like
he
right
completely just
he gets it immediately. He just discovers this actress, and he goes auditions, and like within a day he's on set filming a sex scene with her.
Okay. All right. Well,
how about that? Hey, how about the relax sequence? We got to talk about
relax.
That also comes out of left field. Like,
dude, you're like,
but
what?
That's
Frankie
another
goes
like
to Hollywood right here in our face.
Yeah.
That's another like indulgent direction thing that is kind of fun. Like, I kind of like that just is in there. Like, that's the stuff I like in this movie. I like the mall scene. I know you say it runs a little long. I agree, particularly at the underwear store. I like all the stuff in the mall, walking.
Yeah.
Underwear store drags. I like the that hotel on the beach. That's very Rear Window with like the different people in the different rooms.
That is very Rear Window, but I feel like almost all of that stuff could be cut out of the movie. Like, if you think there's some shit that needs to be cut, that whole scene where he's watching her there doesn't have to be there. He could have snatched her purse leaving the mall or something. They didn't have to go to the beach.
That's true.
House.
You could do the purse grab at the mall. I do love that hotel on the beach though, but you're right. You could have done that whole thing at the mall.
Let's agree to disagree. But before we go too far along on that, let's get to the Slumber Party Massacre ripoff scene.
Well, there's a couple of things real quick that since we're going past the mall, like I made a note. This is the biggest pair of ladies' underwear I've ever seen.
Yeah,
she's high-waisted.
Oh,
well,
man.
Remember they used to wear them high-waisted, and they had like the very tall backs, whatever. Like she's trying them on, and she's got them pulled up to her arch of her back, way up here. They're like that long.
Why aren't you closing the curtains all the way? Like, who is changing their underwear in a half-open dressing room?
Yeah, you can stand outside the store and see her changing. So
yeah. Do they actually let you wear that shit out of the store? Like, I've never done that. Never bought something and wore it out of the store before, especially underwear.
She didn't wear it out of the store.
No, she put it back and put it in the bag.
Although I don't think you're allowed to try on underwear.
I don't think so either.
You can try it on over your other underwear, but you can't just drop trow and try on underwear. I don't think maybe you could in the 80s, but
see, I think she wore the panties out of the store, and the ones she put in the bag were her old ones, and that's why he took them.
I don't think so, but I think
panty sniffer.
Yeah, I mean that is hysterical when we're getting ahead of ourselves, but
yeah, well the cop in this movie is pretty fucking funny, honestly.
John McClane? No. When it said his name was McClane, I was like, what? But yeah, I want to get that. I want to get back to the murder scene because I had read about going to this movie about this whole drill, and I had read about it before I saw the movie.
Mm-hmm.
About De Palma talking about the drill, and was it supposed to be over sexualized? Because all right, he's trying to drill through a safe. You do not need a 4-foot auger bit to drill into a safe or whatever. And I mean, being the horror movie person I am literally thinking that whole scene when he actually goes to plunge it into her. Well, for one thing, is going between his legs, so it's very phallic. That's something that De Palma probably did on purpose. And then he's
sure it is.
But very Slumber Party Massacre looking right there. That whole shot. It almost looks like the cover of Slumber Party Massacre 2, I do believe.
Well, this came out before Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Well, I know that. No, I know that. But that's what I'm saying is just like it, like they try to throw a little horror into it, which what Hitchcock would do.
Yeah.
You gotta have a twist of horror in these movies, even in a mystery movie, a little bit of scariness or something like that. And you see Jake downstairs fighting off the dog. That's one scene I do like is him fight, and you see the drill bit come through the floor
Yeah,
the blood
and
on
the
it and
blood
everything. You're
spraying
like,
through.
I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I can kind
That's
of
nice.
get into this. And then,
Talking about scenes that go a little long. I think the murder scene goes a little long. Where
We got to give
he's
Jake
like,
time, but I love that shot of it shows her like torso, and you see the the auger bit coming in slowly towards her, and she's looking down at it. Like, I like the shots, but yeah, it's ridiculous that it's like it doesn't take this long to drill somebody.
Yeah, he's like going in like slow motion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
The plug, that's like goofy. Like that's straight up like comedy right there, right?
That was on purpose. De Palma
Oh,
said
sure.
that he-
Absolutely,
yeah,
it's on purpose, but it's just weird. It's a weird choice. And it's like, this is like silly. We're into like silly territory.
boogie, boogie, boogie.
I saw in an interview, De Palma was asked, about the drill and whether it was intended to be phallic, and he said the prop had to be big for Jake to see it from across the canyon. It was not. Let me finish. It was not my intention to create a sexual image with the drill, although it could be construed that way.
right.
I read that same interview.
And he also like the intent of the drill too was also he needed Jake to see the drill go through the floor for the killing. Like,
Sure.
so it had to be something that could do that.
Another thing, talking about the mystery, and I know we all kind of could solve it ahead of time, but it's a nice detail where why didn't the dog attack the Indian? Because it's his dog.
It's
Right.
his dog.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I like how that stuff, it all pays off. Like it's a well put together mystery other than just the visuals of it. If you could just obscure his face more,
Yeah.
it would all really click.
Well,
better.
again, seeing this in the early, seeing this in the 80s, like,
Sure, on a tube TV.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
I was very much taken aback when he starts ripping this guy's face off in that hole later.
Sure.
I was not expecting that shit. Let's go ahead and get some people in this movie. Almost Famous.
I know that, dude.
I don't know them. I know her.
Haven't you ever heard of that guy? What's his name? That guy who was in that movie that was out last year.
I'm sort of famous for being almost famous.
There's some good ones in this. Jason, you go first. I'll let you go first.
I'm going to throw one out that's obscure that most people didn't notice.
Nope, hate it. I'm going to go now.
I'm going, if I could pronounce the name right, Slavica Hoven, who played Gozer in Ghostbusters 1, is the sales lady at the panty store.
Oh, I thought I
Wow.
recognized her.
Bam!
That is amazing.
What?
That is excellent. And that was 84 as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Because she walked out and I'm like, what the? And I hadn't done my cast notes yet. I actually paused. It is her.
Same
Yes.
year, knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
You go, girl.
I mean, there's a couple others. I'm just going with that because as a kid growing up, we all know what Gozer looks like. So that's why I'm going with it.
I didn't pick up on that. I'm gonna have to go back and take a look at that
Yeah,
now.
she's the panty sales lady.
And good honor for calling security.
Yeah, for sure.
Creeper.
There's the obvious Barbara Crampton here, but we've honored Miss Crampton on our show before, so.
I've got a few actually. First that comes to mind is Larry Flash Jenkins. He was on the movie set, and he was Gummy from Fletch, the homeless guy.
Wow, you guys are picking out stuff that I did not pick up on at all.
He was also in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Gospel Truth, lots of other stuff.
I also wrote down Dennis Franz. I think he's probably one of the bigger stars in this, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you're talking about people I've seen in lots of things, I'm going either him or Melanie Griffith.
Yeah.
But I wrote down Greg Henry. But
I did too. He's my number two.
That's my third. Yeah.
But I'm going with Stephen Bauer.
Oh shit.
He's another one. I think he's in this movie a little less than the girl from Ghostbusters. He is the guy that Melanie Griffith's character is about to give fellatio to in the video.
Oh.
And he was in Scarface. He is Pacino's like right-hand guy in Scarface.
Ah.
And he's worked with De Palma a lot. And the biggest reason he was in, or Melanie Griffith was in this movie, is because De Palma had worked with him on Scarface, and she wanted this part. So,
yeah, I didn't get his name, but the guy that does the porn stuff, he's the one gangster at the beginning of the movie. of Scarface. He's in there too. I think he's the one at the first shootout in Scarface. He's in that too. But I was going Greg Henry just because. I mean, I remember him from Slither. He was the mayor.
Slither, of course. Yeah.
Oh, well, fuck you all for laughing.
But he was also he's Peter Quill's grandpa.
I knew you were going to say that. I was like, Jason's going to point out that he's in a fucking Marvel movie.
That's right, man. If it's horror Marvel, you know Jason's going to say it.
But he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in The Following. He was in The Killing. He's done a lot of television.
But he's not like super famous. But
I agree. I'm just saying he's a familiar face. I mean, I that's a dude I've seen in stuff for decades. I mean,
and he usually plays some kind of a slimy
asshole,
slimy character. Yeah.
Except in Guardians of the Galaxy, he was a good guy. He was trying to console Peter.
There's a couple of just another couple people that are in this for very short periods of time. It's like, oh, I know them. Like they're the perfect people for Almost Famous. So I'm glad we kind of noticed these people.
Yeah, it was fun. There's a good amount of people in here.
I'm glad I noticed Gozer and you guys didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I did not put that together at all.
I'm happy for you.
I think because of the red eyes in Ghostbusters, I'm always transfixed on her eyes in that for whatever reason.
Well, she had the same exact haircut, the flat top.
True. They might have been filming this at the same time.
Aim for the flat top.
Does this movie exist in the Ghostbusters universe?
Maybe. So another coincidence we have here is that when Jake is running to the house to try and save Gloria, he tells these two guys that are jogging on the street, there's a woman being killed up here, for the sole reason that he has some form of a witness. I don't foresee him, if he's trying to do that, like flagging these guys down. Like it seems a little convenient for that situation, because we have to have someone to be able to let the police know that Jake isn't the guy, but he is a person of interest. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I think Jake, wants help too. I don't think he's, like I said, he's not an alpha male. He's not going to run in there and beat up the Indian. He needs help, But I mean, honestly, if those two guys weren't there and the cop showed up, his ass is going to jail, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Sure.
John McClane is taking him to jail.
And getting to that, when the detective is asking him all these questions, it's funny when you watch a movie and your protagonist, you're following your protagonist and you're kind of, you relate to them, you project yourself onto them to an extent. And when the detective starts asking him questions, it's not like he's being unfair. Like, these are fair questions.
Yeah.
He's going,
What? No, you didn't fuck her? No, you didn't keep him as a souvenir? No to both of them. Oh, maybe you're just a harmless panty sniffer. Is that it?
Oh, you got a dirty mind.
That's a laugh.
He's a dirty guy.
How did you see this? And you followed her to the mall, and then he finds the underwear in his pocket. He's
right.
He calls him.
Are you kidding me? Like, it's just another moment for Jake to feel shame and just go like, what the hell have I been doing? Like,
well, I mean,
it
even
all
the
makes
fact
sense in the moment when you're in that. Can we just for a second say how cool that apartment is? That spaceship apartment? That shit is amazing.
Well, yes, the apartment is cool. I have some shit to say about it though.
Oh, yes.
But
I'm probably on the same thing, maybe.
You can kind of understand why he does what he does. First it's like, oh, there's a beautiful woman there. He looks at him, and then it's, oh, she's in danger. I better follow her to see if she's, make sure she's okay. And then he gets deeper and deeper. And then once you actually have to stop and ask questions like, what did you do? Tell me what happened. And it's like, wow, that is not good.
It's like, can you hear yourself talking right now?
Well, that's what's so interesting about all of this up to that point is, he's following her around this mall. Anybody who could see him would think he is creeping on her. They're completely disregarding the fact that there is a whole other person following her around, running up and down the stairs.
Early in the film, I was actually wondering if the Indian guy was real or not. I wondered if this was one of those things where Jake was imagining the guy, and because he was trying to protect her, he just kept following her to protect her from this imaginary thing.
And they try to make you think that at the end of the movie.
Yeah, there's some of they do toy with that at the end.
Yeah, you're like, what does this really?
Where he falls off and it's like, well, where is he? And you have to kind of. This movie's interesting. You know, like I said, it started off feeling like a Skinamax thing, but I think it kind of it's asking some questions, some uncomfortable questions about voyeurism and about.
I like to watch.
Yeah, I like to watch. But you know, obviously, there's a whole spectrum of voyeurism, right? I mean, we don't all creep on people getting changed, but we'll sit in public and people watch.
Everybody people.
You know,
watch.
you might listen to somebody's conversation on an elevator, or you know what I mean. There's varying degrees, and then this movie makes a point of saying with the porn industry stuff, and then also at the end of the film when they're filming that scene, how everyone's watching, and it's a reminder of, hey, you're watching this movie. There's a lot of titillating stuff in this movie that you're watching,
right?
And you're going to judge Jake and say that he's creepy. Well, guess what? You're creepy. You're watching this movie, like kind of holds a mirror up to you and goes like, what are you comfortable with? What, you know, like that kind of thing. And I find that incredibly interesting. That's a detail of this movie that isn't in Vertigo and that kind of stuff. That stuff's plot, but I think the intent of this film is more provocative and you know, it's got something going for it there.
Well, that's what even like when I said about the whole Hitchcock thing, because that's even he does that in his movie, is that our hero, protagonist, whatever, is flawed. He is not perfect.
Right.
And that's where De Palma basically took it, and that's what he's doing with Jake's character. Yeah, he's a good, simple guy. His girlfriend was cheating on him. He's kicked out on the streets. He's got you feel sorry for him. And then he starts eyeballing this lady across
a
the
little
way.
at a time.
Yeah, he gets further deeper into the hole.
He's a peeping Tom.
Well, it starts with the alcohol. He starts drinking again.
Yeah, because he quit drinking per the bartender.
Yep. And then it should be said that De Palma also, I watched some of the special features on my Blu-ray, and De Palma wanted a porno actress to be in this movie for Holly Body's part. He had a particular actress in mind, and when he approached the studio about casting this movie, they were like, fuck no, you can't do that.
Wow.
But his whole intention was to kind of bring that to the forefront, like Eric was talking about, is, you know, people have all kinds of different things that they watch and that entertains them. And, you know, it can be Jake, the kind of person Jake is. It can be the kind of person that the quote unquote Indian is. You know, that was something he really did want to push with this film, but obviously pulling inspiration from Hitchcock stories. And, I honestly, I think this movie works still. Is it slow? Is it dated? Yes, for sure. Like there's things in this movie that can be cut down and are very, very slow, but ultimately I still like what this movie is doing and kind of putting in front of me. But there's some shit that's pretty laughable in it too.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like you said, when he finds Holly, it just goes into this. He's in the porn industry with one meeting. And then I was kind of that part where we get the whole Frankie Goes to Hollywood thing. I didn't know if that was like a dream sequence or something.
You get that a lot in the last half of this movie.
There are dream sequences in this movie, so it opens that door for like, is this real or is this is Jake just cuckoo? Is all of this in Jake's head? Like what? You start questioning him a little bit.
Yeah, because he has a makeout scene with Holly and all that kind of stuff. But it's like
he has a makeout scene with Gloria too.
Yeah.
But how it kicks into like high gear because he meets Holly. They have that one shot together. Next thing you know is, let's go out and have drinks. I want to put you in my film, blah, blah, blah. She of course says yes, because that's the thing, is like, she didn't know that he was the guy watching her.
Right.
And all that stuff like that. But I mean, it just moves really quick. And I'm kind of like, okay, this is too easy. It just goes pop, 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 pop. And that's where I start to have problems with him. Like,
well, this is where you could maybe take some of that time that you dragged in the beginning, and you could
that
give us an extra scene to kind of make this ending part a little smoother. But
that exchange with her and the other actress about all that, you could have cut that whole fucking scene.
You could have, but it's fucking hilarious. I love it.
Oh yeah, because she's thinking it's a real movie.
Anyway, I wanted to ask you, have you heard of any roles that might be right for,
No.
I have.
Sorry.
I have a tip for you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Simon Lafarge is casting this picture. You know him, right?
No.
No? Where you from? Outer space?
But yeah, it is funny when he's got his hair slicked back. That's his porn producer look.
Yeah, and it's so bad, dude.
The outfit he's wearing, the faux leather, all that good stuff. You're
Even
like,
like a trick taking her back to that apartment though, because it's like, well, this looks like an apartment from a rich guy. You know what I mean?
We had one of these in Star Horse.
yeah, that's just fucking hilarious.
But yeah, when he comes into her room all dressed up and putting on the act and whatnot, I was like, oh God, this is bad, dude.
I didn't even realize it was him at first.
Yeah.
It took me a minute.
But yeah, I mean, know it was him at the vampire at the beginning of the movie either.
He really is a chameleon.
But it is so
actor.
funny, like how fast this all happens. Like it's like almost like he gets a job in a porno and stars in it and all that shit within like a day. It goes really fast.
Oh yeah. He's made it to the and apparently Holly is a notable actress in the industry too. So
right.
It's weird. He walks in and basically like reaches the pinnacle of pornography.
Yeah, it's like Josh entering the porn world back in the 2000s or whatever, and he's automatically shooting a scene with Jenna Jameson. That's what it is like. Hey, you're new. We're going to put you with the biggest porn star there is in Hollywood right now. Right. Yeah. This is going down. Yeah. But I love the line after the fact when he runs out and remember the whole exchange as she runs out. I said, I knew there was something weird about it. He didn't even know what a cum shot was. I was like, what the hell?
Oh boy.
One of my favorite lines is when she's talking to that actress at the party and she was like,
oh, by the way, what's the film about?
It's good. Good. We need more comedians in our business. Good luck.
Yeah.
What's it about or something?
Yeah.
Do you mind working with girls? Well, of course.
I also love all the peeks behind the curtain this movie has. Like it's pretty obvious that Dennis Franz is portraying a De Palma type director and all these behind the scenes shots. I like when they're shooting the porno and he comes through the door and the mirror's on the back of the door and it swings and you can see the cameras filming like it shouldn't be there. It's not blocked right. You know, I love all that kind of those little touches in this.
Yeah. And talking about when they're at the apartment, I like how you've got Sam is watching them from the house. So we've got kind of the reverse and they're being peeped on. Everyone's watching everyone. Nobody's got privacy. This movie needs curtains.
Right.
Well, curtains, I tell you, curtains.
I feel like that's a hand they played way too early, showing him watching them, because at this point, you could still make a good case for Jake's just losing it and seeing what he wants to see. We haven't gotten any like concrete evidence that Sam is involved in this yet.
No, she already heard him on the phone, right? At this point?
That's
the guy that hired me.
Yeah, but
that's
I mean,
the voice of the guy who hired me. Yeah.
Yeah, we know it's Sam by now. We don't know that Sam is the Indian.
True.
So we've just had the reveal that Holly's the dancer.
Right.
Yeah, she admitted to that finally.
Yeah, but we have not revealed the Indian yet. So that's
through the most confusing.
They're still holding that.
Through the most confusing description that Jake is trying to give her of what is going on.
Look, you and I were set up by a murderer. He wanted to be sure that I witnessed the murder. That's why he hired you to do your routine. Meanwhile, he arranged it so that I would be watching. So he wanted me to think that the girl who lived there, Gloria Revelle, was the one who was getting off. Meanwhile, he thought that I would watch and keep watching.
Dude, when he's trying to explain it to her, I'm absolutely in her shoes. I'm like, you need to just leave me alone and let me leave. When he calls the cop, he's telling this cop all kinds of shit and talking about people that this cop has no fucking idea who he's talking about. Yeah. You know,
he knows Sam. Yeah, Sam. Everybody knows Sam.
Or it's mainly when he mentions Holly, because Holly is not even a part of anything when he gets interrogated by the cop after the murder.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So when he starts talking about, oh, he paid Holly to do this and do that, if I was that cop, I'd be like, yeah, this guy did it, because who the fuck is he talking about? What's he doing? Like, this makes no sense. This guy is a fucking nut job.
Yeah, he's sniffing glue in those panties is what the fuck he's doing.
Right.
He's fucked up. Something's wrong. But I mean, from here on, you know, like the whole exchange with Holly, she leaves and he's trying to yell with her what's going on. And then Holly runs out, and dude, was the car crash staged too?
I don't know if the car crash was staged, but again, it's another little convenient thing that helps slow our plot down so people can get to where they need to be, you know?
Yeah, and they crash her. I just thought it was kind of funny because we get the scene later with the cars down there at the reservoir too, and I'm like,
yeah, was that one of the cars? That wasn't one of the cars, was it?
That was really weird, dude, because I was like, what is that car? That makes no sense.
I thought we're just like down by we're at the bottom of the gorge, right? Like,
yeah.
There's like a canyon there. So
I think you don't really get a good clean camera shot of where the car went, but it is funny that there is a wrecked, overturned car down at the reservoir.
Yeah. I assume that was just an old car that had crashed down there a long time ago. Not that it was one of those cars, but
and that was my assumption too, but it still doesn't make it any less weird. It's like, what the fuck is that doing there?
And Melanie Griffith is funny in this scene in the apartment and on the
all
road
of it. Yeah,
these, like she's pretty funny. She does a good job at that.
Yeah,
but the whole thing when they're stopping the traffic and Jake hops out of the car and he saw the Indian hit Holly in the back of the head with a freaking tire iron, and he's trying to tell the cop, dude, somebody just got killed in this vehicle like that. Yeah. No cop in his right mind would not go, well, let me go look. No, they would go look, because you just said, I just saw somebody get killed.
That is frustrating. That is frustrating.
Like,
at the very least, sir, get in your car and then
let me go look.
Yeah. That is a frustrating moment as a viewer. Stuff like that in movies does annoy me.
Yeah, but I understand.
It's like in American Werewolf in London, where he's trying to get arrested and he can't get arrested. It's
right.
Like, man, I can get arrested in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Walk up to a cop and slap that sumbitch in the face.
There Eric goes again, wanting to walk into a room and start smacking people and just telling
that's
people.
all Eric does. He likes to slap people around.
I've never been arrested, but I feel like I could get arrested if I wanted to.
I really love this last scene at the reservoir, though. Not so much for what happens in it, because I don't really know what happens in it too much, but I love the setting of the reservoir. It's very creepy and dark, and I love the fact that he's digging this deep ass hole, and
it's a huge hole this man is digging.
Yeah,
this would have taken hours,
dude. That hole had to be at least 3/4 pre-dug before he got there, because if not, that guy is in the wrong line of work. He needs to have his own thing digging wells, ditches, or something.
Dude, if you've ever dug a grave, and believe me, I have. I really have, for dogs.
His name is Eric at VHS Files.
But that's a huge hole, bro. That's going to take you a long time to dig, and it's very well dug as well. It's got nice corners and edges.
Yeah,
didn't hit any rocks or anything. He's in good shape.
But he was fully
no roots.
Right,
in full latex mask as well. Yeah. He'd be sweating
and a wig,
keel over.
Big old black wig, dude.
Yeah, you got to be. It's like
high.
It's like the Goldfinger girl who got sick because she couldn't sweat. If you got all that latex on your face and you're working up a sweat, you got to be able to sweat.
Yeah, you got to be able to sweat. You'll pass out. But I like that you're sitting there and he's watching the creeper dig the hole, and we saw him throw Holly and stuff in there. But you hear the growling, and I was like, what the hell is that? And I turned my sound bar like all the way up, and by that time I'm like, what is that? I'm like, shit, what the fuck? Dude, I had to hurry up, turn it down. I'm like, dude, the whole neighborhood heard this dog barking, and my dog jumps up off the fucking couch and takes off running through the house.
I'm just so happy that something actually scared the shit out of Jason.
Yeah, but it wasn't that the scare; it was the volume and how loud the dog.
Sure,
barked.
It's a jump scare. Yeah,
yeah, that was.
You're
the
a
jump
coward.
Scare. Yeah, that was the Hitchcock moment of the film right there. But of the mini, but yeah, that thing was pretty. Because I was like, what is that noise? You hear it, you don't know what it is. But then that's when you find out, oh, the dog was his. And then I go back to my notes at the beginning of writing down, why did the dog not attack the guy in the house?
Yeah,
y'all mentioned it earlier. It was his damn dog.
Well, I mean,
his dog is his undoing. At the
and what's funny is he even brings that up in the whole little breakdown he gives to Holly. Like, and I love that they give you these little flashback sequences of him meeting Sam and how this was all played out, because it seems. Well, I mean, it's kind of interesting that they show it that way. It's very convenient. Again, there's a lot of convenience here, but you know, I kind of like that they throw back to that. But at this point, it's pretty obvious.
Well, that's kind of a mystery trope or whatever, of showing like a recap of
and
what happened.
They
right?
did those in old movies like that.
Yeah,
they always did that.
And I feel, and you know, maybe it's unfair to this movie, or maybe it's wanting to do that on purpose. You know, similar to like something like Knives Out or something. You're wanting to pay homage to the subgenre or whatever. But
it's Scooby Doo.
Yeah, it feels unnecessary. Yeah, it's Scooby-Doo. It feels unnecessary to me. I don't really need him to recap and explain what happened to me. But you know, maybe that's just the genre, and I need to get over it.
Well, the part that I mentioned earlier about, do you know, had we just watched actual events, or was it a dream sequence? Because when he gets thrown in the hole, like he did in the tunnel, which is the total Vertigo ripoff of him freaking out. And then he's in the hole versus
Vertigo,
and then he gets claustrophobic in the bottom of the grave. That's actually a cool shot of it. Looks like it's a mile up, which is like a Vertigo shot. But and then it clicks into him in the casket at the movie set.
Yep.
But he's in non-vampire attire, and you're
it's very like it's not fourth wall, but it's one of those like wall breaking sort of scenes in a movie where you're like, wait a minute, what?
Was all this movie just something he had going on in his head? This is where I kind of like, what? Okay, this has got a cool little twist here. And then you're realizing, you know, even when he's standing there, he's a little dirty and everything. And I'm like, oh, he's having like a freak out dream sequence of his own while he's in the hole.
Yeah.
But for just that hair of a second, you think, was this movie even real?
Yeah. Right.
And just for that little tiny second.
Well,
but,
I mean,
it's pretty cool when he comes through it. He conquers his fear.
I'll say, like, this movie still kind of ends with did that really happen for me? Because of the way, I mean, like, we'll get to it in a few minutes.
You mean because Sam gets knocked into the water, so we don't have evidence.
Yes, we don't have
Sam.
Any evidence of Sam or the dog or any of that shit.
Arguably, you should have some rubber mask in the hole, because he threw some rubber mask.
He did rip it off, and you got
his car's
in
there.
the van. Yeah.
Well, and I have to talk about this when the reveal is made and he starts tearing that latex off of Sam's face. I still remember when I was a kid seeing that and just going, what? Like, it took me by surprise, and I was freaking out because I thought he was tearing this guy's face off.
I wish I could have watched this movie and seen the reveal when it was supposed to be seen.
Right.
And I had to kind of put myself there and go, even though I knew who it was, I wanted to be like, okay, you know, like you try to put your head there and you want to enjoy it in that way. And I'm sure it's really awesome to go, oh my God, the Indian is Sam. Like, it's just Sam the whole time. Everything's Sam. Holy shit.
And seeing it as a kid, I can say, like, that is a holy shit moment when you're a kid. Now, watching it now, it's absolutely obvious from the get-go that Sam is the one doing all of this stuff.
I do like the look of it, though, where he's kind of like stretching his face down.
I do like I give it up to the Foley guys right here when they're ripping his face off. They make it sound gooey.
Yeah. It's like
and I'm like, it's just latex. It says like, and I'm like, I don't remember.
But I think I had
sounding gooey.
But I think one reason it resonated with me so well too is because that also was like something I saw in that TV show V when I was a kid.
Oh yes, when they had the lizard underneath, when they would kill the face.
And they would tear. Like, I remember a scene in V where there was a female and a male, and they were tearing each other's faces off to reveal the lizard people underneath. And like that kind of shit always was something that really was just like blew my mind when I was a kid. So and that's that. And just the sheer, you know, like pornographic nature of this movie is what really like, because as a kid, had not seen that much nudity, sex, any of that kind of stuff in a movie. You know, this was kind of like watching Basic Instinct for the first time when I was however old I was. It was just one of those like, I shouldn't be watching this, but I'm so happy I am watching it, you know?
Oh, yes. But yeah, I mean, this is the other part where you're talking about where it gets confusing. He gets out of the hole, dog knocks Sam into the reservoir. He's up there talking, and Holly got knocked in the head. She didn't see any of what the exchange between Sam and Jay.
Right.
And she's still thinking he's weird.
Really?
And then he says,
You believe me?
Yes, I believe you. I believe you are a #1 sicko and that you should be put away for life. I mean, I know all about you guys. I've seen about you on late night television. You're one of those necrophiliacs, a corpse fucker. Yes. I mean, I turn you on all right. The only problem is that I'm still moving. I mean, unconscious is good, but dead is better, right?
Holly, you got
yes, because that's what he's into.
She calls him a corpse fucker.
Yeah, a corpse fucker. Yeah. And
she is funny. Like, she's legitimately funny.
But you get all that exchange right there. And then we do the cut to him filming the movie.
That's what I mean. It has that abrupt cut at the end, and she's like, and she's there.
And she's
there. Like, they're friends now, or
Yep.
or they're together or something. That's the weirdest part. It's like, okay, I can understand. Maybe you got the job back, right? Maybe Ruben decided to take you back. But why is Holly there? Did you bring Holly? Like, did you explain everything to her and she knows that you're okay now?
Yeah, maybe the police that we don't see, he just said that, well, everybody can figure out, there's this evidence, so the cops figured out who the killer was.
Yeah,
blah,
I
blah,
mean,
blah.
maybe they dredged up the body and everything checks out. I
Or
mean,
they blamed it on her husband, because that's what the cop was trying to do
he's
the whole entire
obviously
time
gone.
anyway.
Even if they don't find the body, the husband's gone all of a sudden. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, this, like I was saying, after watching a movie about voyeurism, about a peeper, about invading people's privacy, about about watching, and and then you they're filming this scene with the body double, which of course plays with the whole thing. But the body double comes in and they've got these intense close-ups of him feeling her up, and you just feel icky.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I was like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. I feel like I'm looking through the telescope.
It's something
You know
about
what I mean?
It's something about him being fully dressed in the shower and everything's getting wet and he's rubbing those gloved hands all over her body.
And
like,
she says that she's like sensitive.
just got her period. Yeah,
she's got her period.
Yeah,
her
so
boobs
like
are
be
sensitive.
gentle, and it's just so informal and like it's icky. And after everything we've watched and the dangers of voyeurism, the dangers of I don't know, like that final scene while the credits are rolling and you're like you say, it shows the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it all feels very very manufactured.
Mhm.
You're literally watching the manufacturing process. It's almost like watching a slaughterhouse. And then you want to eat a burger now? Not really, right?
All right.
It's like that.
Don't bother me.
It's like you watch you're watching this being made and you're like, oh, I don't like this. I don't want to see how it's made. I just want to see the final product. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To me, that's what everybody was talking about, where the controversy and where people love about it is how far he pushes things with sexualism, misogyny, voyeurism, and all that stuff like this. And I get what they're saying about this, but like, maybe in 1984, but to me, this movie is a low-rated R movie compared to the shit we have got. Even movies in the 80s, this movie didn't feel like it was pushing any of that.
Oh,
I spit on your
disagree.
grave.
I feel like this. No,
I spit on your grave is way more graphic. And
listen to me. I Spit on Your Grave was an independent film by a very low-name filmmaker. At this point, but not everyone was into not everybody knew who Wes Craven was at that point in time. Yeah. So therefore, it wasn't. Yes, it had controversy surrounding it, and it was pushing more envelopes than a movie like this. But a filmmaker like Brian De Palma, of his high stature, coming off something like Scarface.
And this is probably in theaters and more wider release.
I think Scarface was more than this movie. I think it was gorier. It was more up in your face.
I think all the porn industry stuff in this movie is probably not something that your average audience would be familiar with.
Right. And that's 80s. Why they pushed to have him not have a porn actress in the movie.
But in 1984, you could go through the streets in New York and there were XXX theaters everywhere. So to me, 1984, this is nothing. Because I'm reading all this stuff about this movie and I'm like, you make this movie today exactly the same way, and they're like, That's PG-13 compared to Hostel, 8mm. What's that? The movie with Viggo Mortensen, Eastern Promises or whatever.
There are no penises in this movie.
Yeah, but I'm just saying those movies make this feel PG-13.
I don't know.
I think context is important. Yeah. If you're talking about simply nipples and butts and that kind of stuff, sure. But I think context is important. And I think in context, this movie pushes some boundaries as far as comfortability with talking about certain subjects and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I agree with you, Jason. There's certainly more extreme movies from the time and since then that you could watch. But people aren't comfortable with porn, with the idea of porn. I think just simply adding the porn.
It's
thing,
not even porn. It's sex in general. Just like.
Right. But I think also the peeping part is just, there's an ickiness to it that is provocative.
Right.
In a way that's different than two people that are into it, are into each other and they hook up in a movie or something. And of course you're not talking about that with the horror films you're mentioning, but I don't know.
But I mean, we even get peeping Toms in Back to the Future. He's watching her get undressed, and it's comedy, is what I'm saying. I mean, besides the fact she wasn't nude, it's still a peeping Tom thing, and we're laughing at it.
Yeah, you remember when Marty's mom starts pleasuring herself in her bedroom?
Oh, this is Backdoor to the Future.
Oh boy.
But I mean, it should be said, in watching the behind the scenes stuff and the special features on this, De Palma talks a lot. It's a lot of interviews with De Palma about this movie. Mm-hmm. There's a lot about this movie that he didn't like filmmaking wise. He really dislikes the chase on the beach because it was very simple and just like cuts to feet, cuts to running, cuts to feet.
Yeah.
He didn't have a budget or any like kind of possibilities of doing anything different there, so he wasn't happy with the way that turned out. Also, he envisioned that whole scene of Gloria and Jake kissing with that whole turnaround, and which is a very bad scene, let me say.
Oh yeah, that's in my notes right here.
But it was also supposed to be sort of tongue in cheek, like, oh, this is what this is beautiful. This is what like two people falling in love should be like. And really it's not. It's kind of funny looking and gross, and you feel like you shouldn't be watching it. Mm-hmm. But he didn't, he intended it to be something that way. But when it was viewed for audiences, they laughed at it. And he kind of recollects that wasn't his intent. And he kind of saw it once the audience did. And he doesn't like that scene very much now. But there was a lot of people calling him a misogynistic filmmaker at the time and past this. And when you see interviews with like Melanie Griffith in this, and the actress who plays the other girl,
Gloria,
the actress who plays Gloria, they have nothing but great things to say about the way De Palma treated them on set. He was by their side, making sure that they were comfortable and everything that they were doing. Nothing bad said about him. And he even, it says in the little snippet of an interview that I saw with him, he's like, I try to do everything I can to make sure that these people are taken care of, that they're comfortable in what they're doing. And, if you can call me a misogynist all you want, I know I'm not that kind of person. So he takes the hits for the stuff that he's done in these movies because he knows people are just trying to throw these things at him for the type of films he makes.
Yeah.
But he was that was his interest from the very get-go, was to do something that, revolved around how there is this whole other side to life that people don't want to talk about, the porno industry, peeping Toms, all that sort of stuff. So I can really respect what he was trying to do here. I don't know if he really succeeded at it, but I enjoy watching this movie. I'd like to know, Eric, did you enjoy watching this?
Yeah, I as it went on, I enjoyed it more. Like I said, once it got into some of the twists and turns and some of the interesting, I guess you call them set pieces, I enjoyed that stuff, and I liked some of the questions it asks and some of the thought-provoking elements of the film. We were feeling the length. Kayla and I were watching it, and there were times where, particularly early, we were like, but as it went on, and then it was like, okay, wow, okay, and then as the evening went on, we were like talking about it. Oh, thinking about
Yeah.
this, thinking about that. And I think it's one of those where it's like you watch it has to sink in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think, and I appreciate that about it. I think it's a well done mystery, despite the fact that you can kind of see through the
that Sam is the guy.
I mean, honestly, it drives me crazy because I'm like, that would have been a great mystery if I could just not see his face as well.
Yeah.
Jason, what about you? You ever watching this one again?
Probably not. I mean, if it comes on TV and I got nothing else to do, yeah, I'll watch it. It's just like I said, I never even heard of it until you said something about it. I mean, because I knew De Palma of his other movies that like Scarface, Carrie that we had talked about earlier, and I mean even Femme Fatale, I've seen that. But I was just kind of like, not my cup of tea as far as a movie goes. And like I said, it's easy to figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
and
I think this is kind of
the bad and the ugly.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a time capsule movie. Like if you saw it in its heyday, you probably can see it in the light that it was intended for then. But watching this now, I could see where people probably are just like, it's My Highlander. There you go. True.
There you go.
Very true.
Because Josh thinks that's a dumpster fire of a movie. So because he didn't see it as a kid. So
all right, well, let's finish this bad boy.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Why?
Oh, that was fucking weak. That was weak.
I'll go ahead. Since this was my pick, I'll go ahead and do mine first. I think the good here is I love all the peek behind the curtain stuff and the behind the scenes of filmmaking and the film industry in general, and just how many different sides there are to that. And I still have fun watching this movie play out. It's probably because it comes with nostalgia for me, but I would much rather watch this compared to some other movies from the 80s that probably don't hold up as well anymore. The bad is the fucking composite shot of that awesome ass house at the beginning, where it's obvious that they composited them walking around in the windows because they couldn't get in there to film.
And the city scene through the windows from inside out.
Yeah.
And all the other composite shots in the movie.
But the house should go in my good because that house is fucking awesome. And my ugly is the music cues that play every time he's watching Gloria or quote unquote.
I wrote that down.
Me too.
I wrote it down. It's in my. Yeah, it's in there. Oh God, and it's the same music cue.
Right.
It's the peeping theme.
The peeping theme.
I had peeping theme written down. It's the peeping theme. Whenever he's peeping, that's the theme. Actually, my ugly is the whole score. I feel like the score ages this movie. It just this big swelling like strings and keyboard, and it's
who
just
did
like,
the music in this? Who did the music?
I don't know who did the music, but there's one when the chase on the beach happens, and it's that like kind of orchestral, like dun, dun, like. I like the scene, the score that's going on there, but the rest of it is very like 80s muted fucking like techno.
It's all these keys and it's just wee, like all this stuff of like him like falling in love with her as he looks at her from a distance, and it's just this like big swelling like romantic stringed instrument sound. And,
right.
I don't like any of that shit.
All right. Well, what is
sounds
your...
like a? It sounds like a soap opera music.
All right, we're talking about his music. It's Pino Donaggio. I'm probably murdering that, but he is known for working with De Palma almost exclusively. But he did Carrie. He did Piranha.
Oh
1978.
Wow.
Tourist Trap. You've watched that, Josh.
Oh, Tourist Trap. We need to do that on this fucking show, my friends.
And then the 80s, he did Dress to Kill. He did The Howling. He's done a lot with Joe Dante.
Well, Dress to Kill is another De Palma film, too.
Yeah, he did that. See, man, there's a lot of these movies in here. You can totally hear that.
Yeah.
In there. Yeah. But yeah, most of his movies are all the same guy.
Well, what's your good and bad, Eric?
My good is the Beach House, Beach Motel. I love it.
The Bitch House.
I love the stairway down the side. I love how he sees the people leave the top room. He gets to go on the room above. And
yeah, they need some locks. That's a little too easy for someone to get on your fucking balcony there.
Yeah, man. He gets to listen to her conversation. I just love that building. I don't know. It was just cool.
Since you mentioned that, so there's a problem between Gloria and her husband, which could be, we don't really know the mystery of that. That's part of the mystery.
Like she
we don't
might
know.
be having
That's what
affair.
I was getting to, is she's having an affair.
Yeah.
So is that what puts all of this in motion, is him getting back at her for having an affair?
Yeah, I mean, he's got to want to kill her for some reason.
Yeah.
It seems like that's it.
It's Sam, the guy she's having the affair with.
No. And then my bad is Gloria, her acting, Deborah Shelton.
Oh, really? I didn't think she was that bad. I think she's gorgeous, though. I think she's beautiful.
A pretty lady, but that's
I like her and Melanie Griffith.
Oh, Melanie Griffith can act circles around her. Oh my God.
Oh yeah. No money, man.
All right, Jason, you're good and bad.
My good. It's kind of weird. This is gonna go together, but I like some of the Hitchcock shots in this. Some of the camera work is good, because it's definitely an Hitchcock shot.
That Vertigo shot in the hallway.
It's a Hitchcock shot. And the last 25 minutes of the movie are the only thing that kind of saves it to me. So that's good though, because it's something positive there.
Yeah.
My bad is the total way overuse of Hitchcock stories, plots, setup shots, everything. And I'm like, okay, it's cool when you're paying homage to somebody, but I'm like, dude, this is an hour and 54-minute movie that Hitchcock could have shot in an hour and 20 minutes. So, and I'm just like, come on. I know that people probably love this movie, but I'm like, come on, man. Let's have it. I mean, it's the Palma, dude. You gave us some great movies. Let's see some originality.
According to you, no one's seen this movie, Jason.
So, well, hey, the box office says that they lost money. It was a bomb.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
There's not a bomb doing this one.
I'm sure I could suggest it to them. It'll go on their list. They've got plenty they got to review.
But like I said, and if I had to watch it, I'd rather just watch Hitchcock movies instead of this one. But my ugly was what Josh said about the composite shots are horrible all through it. I mean, even the shot where we get Jake at the beginning where he's driving the car, that's a total,
it's all rear projection.
Yeah, I know. That's a total Hitchcock shot.
But that's another Hitchcock thing.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That makes it feel like Hitchcock too. Yeah, a lot of that stuff.
I do like the late 60s Camaro convertible that he's driving. I forgot.
I knew you were gonna say that, you son of a bitch.
But in the acting, I agree with Eric on it. The acting, the majority of the acting in this movie is atrocious.
Yeah,
Greg Henry's a great actor. I like him. Melanie Griffith is good. I think
Melanie Griffith is the standout here for sure.
Yeah, she's the best thing in the whole movie as far as that. But the other acting, like Gloria and Jake's character and Sam's character, even that some of that is pretty bad. So I'm just like, the bartender wasn't great, a little overacting.
That whole scene, the scene in the acting studio where he's like, "I'm a sardine, I'm a sardine."
That could have been cut. Another scene that could have been cut.
That's apparently something that De Palma did in an acting class, and that's why it's theirs, because that's something he had to do in an acting class one time.
Okay, but yeah, that's it. So I did have something positive. I said the last 20-something minutes.
Well,
one note I haven't used is another thing that this movie reminded me of was Nice Guys. Did I say that yet?
You're the world's worst detective.
I'm the worst?
Yeah.
The world's worst.
Didn't you hear me the first time?
Got a cool ad, though.
Oh, I can totally see that.
You got the porn industry, you got LA, you've got,
okay, so if this is a good double feature movie with Nice Guys, but I would much rather watch Nice Guys than this again.
Oh yeah, me too. I love Nice Guys.
Can we watch Nice Guys and Boogie Nights instead of this?
I don't know. You get to pick your own movies around here, buddy. But that's going to do it for our talk about Body Double. We hope you enjoyed listening to us have our conversation here. I'm so happy that we actually got to do something that you two haven't ever seen and I have. That's a first for our show.
Hey, 2 weeks in a row, I got the stuff and I got Body Double. I enjoyed both. I'm broadening my horizons.
Right,
dude. Josh, when he came on before you hopped on here, he was like, "Dude, have you seen this?" And he's like, "This is the first movie you haven't seen that we've done."
Yeah.
This is my first never seen movie.
Well, and next week it's going to be Mr. Eric's pick, so we'll find out what he picked next week, and we will be back. We hope you guys enjoyed our conversation. If you did, please hit the like button, go subscribe to our channel, and let us know what you thought about our conversation, and we will see you next time. Be kind. Rewind!
Take this movie back and never read it.
You've been listening to the VHS Files podcast.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
If you like what you heard, please subscribe and drop us a rating and a review wherever you get your podcast.
It was fun.
Send your questions, comments, and movie suggestions to vhsfilespodcast@gmail.com.
You sick fucks, you've seen one too many movies.
Don't you blame the movies!
Follow us on all social media outlets at VHS Files Podcast.
Movies don't create psychos!
Check out our YouTube channel for more content.
Movies make psychos more creative!
Thanks for listening.